Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ainul Yasmin binti Hasnan with metric number 2013618, and I will present about the definition of racism and how to recognize the racism behavior. First and foremost, racism is the policy and sentiment advancing the interests of one group or race over another. Moreover, racism also can be defined as the dislike, disregard, or oppression of an individual group or race by another solely along racial lines. Furthermore, it is also known as cultural biases, individual or institutional, founded on the erroneous contention that races, genetics, or physical appearance indicates that one group is superior over another. There are many synonym words of racism, such as prejudice, discrimination, bias, ethnocentric, and lastly, xenophobia. On the right is a statistic evidence gathered from Malaysia Racial Discrimination Report of 2019. It shows that racism happened in many sectors in Malaysia. However, from the statistical report, we can see that Malaysian racism is reported highest in the sector of racial, religious, and political. How can we recognize this type of behavior? Actually, there are three ways of recognizing a racist behavior. Firstly, racism can occur indirectly, such as from our own actions. For example, the way we avoid to sit next to other race in public transportation. Next, racism could occur directly when someone writes a negative Instagram post about a particular ethnic group. And lastly, racism can also happen in systematic ways. So, systematic racism occurs when organizations in our society, such as the government, media companies, hospital, police, or school, discriminate against certain groups of people.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Amni binti Jama Abdul Aziz and my metric number is 2014348. The first factor of racism is self-interest. Through the 17th and 18th centuries, people from Africa were kidnapped and forced into slavery. This is because they could not handle the work needed. Hence, they used slavery instead of searching for voluntary laborers. For their own benefit, they justified that using slaves is acceptable because slaves were less than human. The second factor is scientific racism. Around the end of the 18th century, science replaced religion and superstition as the intellectual authority. The science then justified many racist beliefs, like mixed-race children had more health problems and shorter lifespans. However, it relies on discredited methods, which means that it is unreliable. The third factor is living in an echo chamber. It means that they are only interacting with people who share the same beliefs. If someone is surrounded by racist family members or friends, they will likely share those same beliefs. Even positive generalizations about race are harmful and difficult to challenge if someone isn't a part of a diverse community. The fourth factor is discriminatory policies. Policies that discriminate by race and keep people in poverty reinforce racist beliefs. For example, housing laws. Many laws kept black people from owning houses in certain neighborhoods, degrading them to lower quality housing and preventing them from accumulating wealth. Society looks at this and believes it justifies belief about how black people only live in low income, crime-ridden neighborhoods, and that's it somehow a choice. The next factor is media representation. How the media represents race has a big impact on how society views race. The media is a reflection of a culture at large, therefore it fuels racism. Racism in the media has incredibly negative effects. As an example, black men are overrepresented in the media as perpetrators of violent crime. This affects black people's view of themselves as well as society's view of them. The sixth factor is failing to recognize racism in oneself. People are not good at recognizing racism in themselves. Many believe that racism can only look like slavery, segregation, or blatant references to race. This failure to recognize prejudices, accept responsibility, and be better is the reason why racism is still persistent. The seventh factor is quick judgments. People are very quick to judge others based on their appearance, their clothing, how they talk, and other physical traits. Because of how the media represents race and persistence of racist beliefs, it's very easy to categorize a group of people as lazy, violent, and so on. When no one speaks up, these judgments will have a significant impact on how people are discerned and the kind of opportunities they get. The last factor is casting blame. For many people, blaming others is a reflex. For example, statements like, Chinese people are stealing our chances. Society always looks for a scapegoat when things are not going very well. To justify this scapegoating, racist beliefs are deployed. This increases resentment and bitterness, making already vulnerable people even more vulnerable.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sharifah Nurhazira binti Said Hussein, and I'm going to talk about the effects of racism. We know that racism is a negative behavior that should not have in oneself. This is because it can affect every part of life, regardless children, adolescents, or even adults. I'll focus on some aspects that can be affected by the racism. Firstly, racism can give impact to the physical and mental health of the minority. According to a report by Medical News Today, mainly, racism can cause depression and anxiety to both adults and children. Not only that, when they are being discriminated, it can give higher rates of stress that leads to high blood pressure, or maybe worse, they will think of suicidal thoughts. While for children, they will have a problem in terms of their behavior, such as feeling socially isolated. Moreover, racism creates a society where people do not trust and respect to each other. Across the America, for instance, there are too many communities, especially black communities, that lack sufficient access to the jobs with livable wages or benefits, well-resourced school systems, good quality housing, and safe neighborhoods. Besides, racism can create consequences towards the economy of a country. In the past, racism has prohibited the people of color from being admitted to college. This situation had obstructed them from getting the education that they desired in order for them to enter the career field of their choice. This domino effect will occur through communities as they are unable to build wealth in their life. Another effect of racism to the economy is it can generate the racial wage gap. As said by a financial coach named Maggie Germano, among full and part-time workers in the United States, black people earned $75 as much as white people in hourly earnings. In short, the hourly earnings of white people are higher than those of black people. This means that the people of color make less money in their lifetime, such as for education and for their retirement. Racism also can happen in terms of safety in healthcare. Due to racism, people of color may receive worse treatment. They will not be treated well or taken seriously by medical industry until it results to delayed diagnosis, which can potentially worsen their health condition. Lastly, racism can give effect towards the safety of the people that are being discriminated. When they are in that situation, they will feel unsafe as they may face injury or assault by others. A study that examined whether the racial harassment exists in the workplace proved that people of color were highly possible than white people to encounter work-related injury or assault. They found out that racism at work is an intermediary factor that influences the work-related health experiences among the minorities.
How to prevent racism? So, from individual responsibility, you can attend events about other culture to learn new things about other culture. For example, you can attend a Chinese New Year celebration or Deepavali celebration to know how they celebrate their celebration. And the second point, you can make a commitment to speak up when you heard something that signal to racism. For example, in your university, someone making fun of other culture or other ethnic. From the side of community responsibility, I will narrow down to the workplace society. So the organization can actively recruit and hire diverse staff. Why? It is not enough to just fill your stuff with a rainbow of people from different background, but the representation from a variety of group is an important place to start. So the second point is in a neighborhood, you can try to support events that celebrates the tradition of different culture and ethnic group. You can learn many more about other culture. And next is work to include anti-racism in your university. This is to develop a strategy to change racist policies in your university. And the last point is talk to people of color on your staff and ask them what barrier or attitude they face at work, so you can know what problem that they face in your workplace or in your university. Also, you can ask your friends what they face in the society.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Farwahida binti Mak Sakri. My metric number is 2016846. Next is media. One of the major reasons for the increasing use of social media is perhaps the pandemic. One of the steps in prevent COVID-19 is social distancing. So increasing number of people found it the best way to connect with one another. This not just help them check in on friends and family members, but also enlighten them about issues concerning the society. In a country like India, racism has been a major issue but never got the required attention. Many times we have come across people casually remarking on someone else's skin color, knowing little about the psychological implications of it. Media can spread poster or Instagram story about avoid racism because we live on the same earth and with the same goal. As we know, everything was online, so it becomes easier to spread these positive vibes. This anti-racism movement also instilled a sense of online kindness.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Sofia Alisha binti Anwar, metric number 2015292. There are a lot of religions that promoted a sort of like the most influent religion mindset throughout thousands of years. The same is applicable for races and nationality. Only after the Quran became revealed to Rasulullah did the religion begin to truly spread the belief that everyone is equal. The reasoning for this can be found in the Quran in Surah Ar-Rum, verse 22, translated and among his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth, the differences of your languages and colors. Verily, that are indeed signs for men of sound knowledge. Based on this verse, it tells us that all of mankind was created by God with languages and races coming into existence by design. Muslim is known as a faith for all people and for all time. Muslims come from all over the continents and background encompassing 1/3 of humanity. Allah advises us that the diversity of life and the different languages and colors of man is a sign of magnificence of Allah and a lesson for us to learn about equality. We still know that there are some people who believe that certain racial groups are higher than other racial groups. We must all therefore do more to end such mindset and increase our effort to do what our Prophet Muhammad said during his last sermon, where he advised Muslims to embrace racial equality, reported by Abu Nadrah. All people, there is no favor of an Arab over a foreigner, nor a foreigner over an Arab, and neither white skin over black skin, nor black skin over white skin, except by righteousness. From this, we learn that it is our own responsibility to overcome all prejudice so our community can truly progress. Islam advises us to respect the fact that everyone, regardless of race, has been born equal with dignity. After all, what matters most is the heart and intention for our success in the hereafter. As mentioned in a hadith reported by Abu Hurairah, Rasulullah said, "Verily, Allah does not look at your appearance nor your wealth, but rather He looks at your heart and actions."